You put a big 225 gallon tank or bigger on a trailer, you better make sure that that trailer is capable of handling the weight of a fully loaded water tank.
If you're thinking about starting a pressure washing business, but you want to learn more about the equipment, mixing chemicals, how to clean every surface on a residential job site, property protection, and much, much more, check out the How to Wash course. It'll be the first link in the comment section and the description.
Does your pressure washer need a buffer tank? And if so, what size? That's a question that I get all the time. It's a pretty common question. And in today's video, we are going to dive into all the things that you need to consider in order to determine whether or not you need a buffer tank. And if you do, what size it is. Obviously, it's very important to know what machine to buy based on your needs and what type of work you're going to be doing. But we also need to understand the needs of the machine in order to plan our entire system. And there is way more to consider than just the GPM of the machine. But before we hop into that topic, I wanted to let you know
we put together the most intensive training the industry has ever seen. Over 6 hours of in-depth training on the best methods for cleaning houses, roofs, driveways, and every other surface you might encounter on a residential job site. How to Wash covers the chemicals to use, how to mix them, the equipment, the best methods to make you the most efficient and profitable you can be, safety and property protection, specialty chemicals, as well as pro tips and so much more. We've helped 4,500 students get their ECP certification, which means How to Wash delivers and continues to deliver because it's yours to keep and review forever. We've also included an extensive Q&A section in each module, which gives you even more information at your fingertips. How to Wash is less than the price of one house wash, so don't wait. Click the link below.
Before anything else, I do want to say that I'm going to be using the word GPM quite a bit. Now, GPM means gallons per minute. Gallons per minute means how many gallons of water that your machine is capable of putting out through the end of your hose every single minute. There are a few common size machines out there. They range anywhere from a 2.5 GPM all the way up to a 10 and a 12, even higher. But for most residential applications, 10 is more than sufficient. So we will be using that in some of the examples today. So the question is, do I need a buffer tank? And if so, how big should it be? So we'll first talk about why you need a tank and what determines whether you need one or not. So you pull up to a customer's house, you're going to find the water source because you're going to need that whether you're running a tank or not. And this is one of the key factors which is going to help answer this question. Typically, an outside hose faucet supplied by a local municipality provides about 6 to 8 gallons per minute of water. This is with the assumption that other faucets are also open and being used inside the house. So I say that simply because there can be fluctuations of the flow of the exterior water depending on what's going on inside the house. If there are toilets being flushed, if someone's taking a shower, if the dishwasher's being run, the washing machine, all of these things can contribute to some fluctuation. So keep that in mind. But on average, between 6 and 8 gallons per minute coming out is what we get. So that's going to tell us that pretty much anything between a 2.5 and a 4 gallon per minute machine can be run from a water supply on a residential property with no issues. However, there is another component that you have to realize when you're considering working without a buffer tank, regardless of the size of the machine, is there can be a large reduction in flow rate if the water needs to travel over a long distance. You can lose almost a quarter of your flow rate if you've got a significant length of hose feeding your machine, which is why a lot of startups you see wheeling around a pressure washer. This, of course, is not the most efficient way to do things, but it does work. The flow rate is important for multiple reasons, but the first of which is cooling down your pump. If you starve a pump of water, bad things can happen internally. The parts get hot, and when that happens, catastrophic failure will occur. So you don't want to starve your pump of water. Pretty much any machine under 5 gallons per minute comes from the manufacturer with a water hose connection. They do this because constant water flow is needed not to overheat their machine. And on bigger machines, there is a bypass on the unloader that most people will plumb back into the bigger tank to recycle and cool that water when the trigger isn't being pulled. Other machines just recirculate. And if you don't have a bypass, those type of machines, they just recirculate the water within the pump, but that water can get super hot super fast. And that is why you never really want to leave the machine on when you're not using it for an extended period of time. So please keep those things in mind when you're making these decisions and when you're out there working. So with all of that being said, a 2.5 gallon per minute or a 4 gallon per minute machine won't need a buffer tank. And if you do decide to run a buffer tank, it is going to need to be gravity fed, or you might even have to install a 12-volt booster pump to feed the pump because most smaller GPM machines don't have the suction needed to pull from the buffer tank. So now let's talk about what size tank you might need. And I have to mention, it's also important to understand that water is heavy. You put a big 225-gallon tank or bigger on a trailer, you better make sure that that trailer is capable of handling the weight of a fully loaded water tank, as well as anything else that you're going to put on there, right? Your chemical, your surfactants, your machines, your ladders, all of that you need to take into consideration. I see guys all the time with these tote tanks they get for cheap. They put them on a single axle trailer. They have other things on there as well, chemicals, machines, all the things we just talked about. And it scares me because it's dangerous. And I'm sure it's overweight for that specific trailer. Not only is it dangerous for everybody else on the road, but it's probably going to help to tear up whatever vehicle it is that you're pulling that trailer with a lot sooner. Transmission, brakes, all of these things are affected when you're pulling around and stopping with a trailer that is really heavy. So make sure you've got all of that set up and planned for when you're deciding what size tanks you're going to buy and how you're going to be hauling them, where you're going to be putting them. Okay. So the next thing to consider is the machine that you have. Here, it's relatively simple math. I'm going to use a 10-gallon per minute machine, like I said earlier. So if you're running a 10 GPM machine, that means you're capable of putting out 600 gallons per minute. If you have a 100-gallon tank being filled at an average of 7 gallons per minute, you're filling at a rate of 421 gallons per hour. So you are at a 180-gallon deficit from the get-go, or about 3 gallons per minute behind. So by using this math, you can see that a 100-gallon tank will work. Okay. Is it the most efficient? No, but it is sufficient. If you show up with a full tank of water, you hook up immediately and you start working. But then there can be some downtime waiting for water to catch up even with that. But honestly, we all know that we're not running those machines nonstop with our hand on the trigger for an hour straight, at least not all the time, and especially not on a residential property, unless, of course, you're doing some gigantic driveway. But the point is there are tons of components that go into the decision-making process. You have safety, which is paramount, the math involved that we just talked about, determining what you need. And basically, you don't want to have to slow down your job, your pace, to wait for the water tank to fill up. If you're waiting for the water tank, that is not using your time efficiently. Time is money. You want to be as efficient as possible because you want to be as profitable as possible. If you're waiting around for water to fill up, you're not making money. Okay. So a buffer tank is necessary with larger GPM machines. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it answered some questions. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out How to Wash. Also, obviously, I would be remiss to say you need to go download Quote IQ. It is the #1 tool for any small business. It's going to allow you to do everything that you need to keep up with your business, to show you the things that actually move the needle in your business so you can make smart decisions based on data. All right, guys. So that is it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.